Welcome to Self-Care for the Professional. My name is Yushima Cherry Burks. I apologize for not being available in person. I was subpoenaed and I have to show up for my client. It's part of the job. Without further ado, let's get into it. So I've provided you with a free digital workbook, which is available at chatterboxtherapist.com under self-care tools. This digital workbook allows you to follow along with us and interactively fill out the pages as we discuss them. And it will come in handy today because I've had to do a condensed version of this workshop. And so whatever it is that we're unable to cover in depth will be covered in the workbook. Your workbook today is password protected, and that password is youth services, lowercase, one word. Again, in order to access your free digital workbook, go online at chatterboxtherapist.com under self-care tools, choose self-care for the professional, and choose the password protected workbook. Put in your password, youth services, and you can follow along with us as we continue on the training today. This is what that website looks like. Chatterboxtherapist.com, self-care tools. Here it is right here. Here it is right here. And you'll choose self-care for the professional. When you choose self-care for the professional, this is where you would click on the password protected workbook. And again, you will put in that password, youth services. Okay? Youth. All right. Let's keep going. Today, we will discuss what trauma looks like. We will identify challenges of working with at-risk individuals. We will define terms that we will use during this presentation. You'll identify some of your own vulnerabilities and the tools that you need to move forward. You will learn how to thrive within the 8 dimensions of wellness, and you'll achieve more balance in your life by incorporating boundaries and activities to help you discover your passion and your purpose. This is where I usually have a discussion about imposter syndrome, but because of the lack of time, we won't be able to get into it today. To commit self-care throughout your career is to value yourself, your relationships, and your professional work. So if that's true, the opposite is true. Here are some terms we'll discuss today: imposter syndrome, self-care, trauma, compassion fatigue, compassion satisfaction, burnout, projection, transference, and countertransference, okay? The definition of self-care refers to activities and practices that we can engage in on a regular basis to reduce stress and maintain and enhance our short and longer term health and well-being. Self-care is necessary for your effectiveness and success in honoring your professional and personal commitments. So listen up. There's a difference between self-care and recovery. A lot of us find ourselves in recovery much more often than in self-care. So the key term here is activities that we can engage in on a regular basis, okay, as a preventative measure to needing long recovery periods. What is trauma? Interpersonal trauma and secondary trauma. Secondary trauma is defined as indirect exposure to trauma through a firsthand account or narrative or a traumatic event. So it's witnessing something traumatic or hearing about something traumatic, which is what most of us do on a daily basis, right? Especially if you work with at-risk individuals, you're going to hear some traumatic situations every day. However, today we are going to talk about interpersonal trauma. Interpersonal trauma includes events in which you have been hurt by other people. I know we usually focus on our clients. We have that on lock, right? Today, let's talk about interpersonal trauma. This can include trauma from strangers, acquaintances, friends, or loved ones. It's pain caused by others, especially if it's repeated over and over again. It can be significantly harder to overcome. You can have difficulties in relationships, and it can also cause issues at work. Compassion fatigue. Compassion fatigue is a condition that occurs when caregivers are overwhelmed by stresses. It can come from clinical or interpersonal components of their roles. Okay, and usually the individuals affected by compassion fatigue are unable to deliver the highest quality of care. Compassion satisfaction comes from receiving pleasure from doing your job efficiently and effectively. Your level of compassion satisfaction helps to determine how well you are doing your job and how well your clients are benefiting from your compassion satisfaction. And there's actually an assessment at the end of your workbook that measures compassion fatigue, compassion satisfaction, and burnout. Burnout is a state of emotional, mental, and often physical exhaustion brought on by prolonged or repeated stress. How many of you here have felt burnt out? Now, I know that I've heard some clinicians say that once you experience burnout, it's impossible to come back from it. Well, if that's accurate for everyone, right? I believe anything that affects us, if we love what we do, if we're passionate about it, we're able to bounce back, right? It's mostly caused by problems at work, but they found that it can stem from other areas: parenting, caretaking, and even romantic relationships. So imagine having all of these variables in your life, as well as being a professional. That brings your risks up for burnout, okay? Projection. Projection is the mental process by which people attribute to others what's in their own minds. For example, someone who's in a self-critical state, consciously or unconsciously, may feel like you are being critical of them. And I'm sure we've all had that experience either personally or from someone else thinking that you're being critical of them and you were not. Okay. Transference. Transference occurs when a person redirects some of their feelings or desires for another person to an entirely different person. An example of this is when you observe characteristics of your father in your new boss, or if you've ever had a client or a student or a participant say, "You remind me of my auntie," or "You remind me of my mom," right? That is transference. And it's because you have some characteristics or features that remind you of them. And it's good to keep in mind that this may be a good thing or a bad thing, okay, depending on the client. Countertransference. In psychoanalytic theory, countertransference occurs when a therapist projects their own unresolved conflicts onto the client. This can be in response to something that the client has unearthed, and you feel that they should do something and they may not agree with you. And I know in a lot of the writings, it shows that it's inevitable. They say every clinician, therapist, teacher, whatever your profession is that works with any type of at-risk population, you are bound to experience countertransference, but it can be very damaging to your relationship. So we must keep in mind that our participants and our clients, our students have the right to autonomy and to self-determination, okay? This is where we would normally do the assessment. It is found on the last 3 pages of your workbook before the very last page, okay? And this is where we would discuss your results, okay? The assessment is called the Professional Quality of Life Scale, and it measures compassion satisfaction, compassion fatigue, and burnout. Let's talk about self-care. The NASW Code of Ethics has actually been amended to include a new language in the purpose section that reads, "Professional self-care is paramount for competent and ethical social work practice." And the gist of it is, if you're called to the carpet for something that happens and they find that there is not a self-care regimen in your day-to-day life, you can actually be penalized for it, because now self-care is part of a requirement according to the NASW, which is a good thing. Supervision and self-care. This just talks about how important it is to have a supervisor, especially if you are a social worker and you're working with clients, okay? What does self-care for professionals look like? It includes engaging in activities and practices that give you energy, lowers your stress, and contributes to your well-being. Self-care activities will be different for everyone. Doing these activities regularly before the crisis hits is the key. Okay, remember we talked about the difference between recovery and self-care, right? Noticing when your stress is manageable and your physical and emotional well-being is enhanced. So it's important to check in with yourself and see, how am I feeling right now? Do I feel overwhelmed? What is it that I need to change? What do I need to incorporate and what do I need to purge out? Okay. Making a commitment to your health and well-being for today and in the future. So that means being intentional about how you spend your time, moments, minutes. Okay. Have you ever felt that you failed a client? I don't know anyone who have felt like they've always done it correctly. If you find yourself meeting with a client and you cannot wait until it's over, and all you can think about is kicking those shoes off and going home and relaxing in your nice Chanel blanket, or if you are thinking about what you need to cook for dinner that night and your client is just pouring this little heart out on the couch or in the chair, that can be a sign that you may need to take care of yourself better so that you can be present in the moment with your client. Another example of this is monopolizing your client's sessions when they're talking to you about their issue and you monopolize it by talking about your experience, right? That can be a sign of a lack of self-care as well. So it's always important and necessary to have some type of supervision or therapy for yourself so that you can give the best care possible to your clients. And I'm not just talking to social workers and clinicians, right? I'm talking to anyone who comes in contact with their client. It's good to be present. It's necessary to be present, okay? We have lives hanging in the balance of our decisions. And when we fail to take care of ourselves, we fail to see things objectively. We fail to see past our hurt, trauma, and issues. And they show up in the way that we help our community, in the way that we interact with our loved ones, and in the way that we show up for ourselves. Why did you choose your career? Many teachers and many of us in the helping field wanted to save the world. That zest, that innocence, right? That naivety that you felt when you first learned about your career and you just knew you would come in and change lives and save lives. And you find out for some of us, right? Now that's not the case. But as a clinician that just saw clients day in and day out, most of it was paperwork. I mean, we had our face to face, but you were going home with some paperwork until you learn how to set healthy boundaries. And we'll talk about that. Let's talk about treating the whole person. Let's get into the meat and potatoes, okay? So the 8 dimensions of wellness include social, physical, emotional, occupational, intellectual or creative, financial, environmental, and spiritual or existential wellness, okay? Social wellness. So now in this section, we are going to measure where we are, how we add up in these different areas and spaces, okay? So let's get into it. Social wellness refers to the relationships we have and how we interact with others. Our relationships can offer support during difficult times. Social wellness involves building healthy, nurturing, and supportive relationships, as well as fostering a genuine connection with those around you. So, what does that look like? And we're going to focus on professional right now. Again, in your workbook, you'll have access to personal and professional. But right now, for the sake of time, let's just focus on professional. Professional wellness socially includes pursuing healthy relationships in the workplace with boundaries that are appropriate for work, which includes not being too rigid or too cold, but not oversharing your personal lives with coworkers or clients. No gossiping in the workplace. or discussing sensitive matters about yourself or coworkers or clients. Autonomy of persons, allowing your clients to make their own decisions, even if you don't agree with them, contributing to the common welfare of the community, and recognizing that oneself and society are interdependent. Check in. How would you rate your social wellness? In your workbook, you're able to rate it from 1 to 5, okay? You're able to determine what areas you're strongest in your personal and your professional life. Fill that out. Take some time to fill that out. On a scale of 1 to 5, how would you rate your social wellness, personally and professionally? 1 being, oh my gosh, social what? 5 being, I am a social butterfly. Okay, I have this on lock. No worries. All right. Now let's look at how you can improve your social wellness. How can you improve it? What changes can you make to improve your social well-being by 1 point? If you have a 3, how can you make that into a 4? And if you have a 4, how can you make that into a 5? What can you do to raise it by 2 points? If you're already at a 5, how can you improve it still? What is it that you would like to incorporate in your social wellness? And when will you implement these changes? Write it down in your workbook. There's a space for the dates. And yes, I want a date. Okay, let's make a commitment today to do better. Physical wellness. Listen to your body. Physical wellness is the ability to maintain a healthy quality of life that allows us to get through our daily activities without undue fatigue or physical stress. Good luck with that, okay? Because most of us are tired most of the time. But it's important to be intentional about our physical wellness. How can we do that? On the professional side, take your break and lunchtime regularly. I know, sounds like a fairy tale for most of us who may have a lot of paperwork due by the end of the day, right? But it's important to be intentional about taking these breaks for yourself so that you can be the best you. Complete your work at work. Try not to bring work home. Try not to bring files and folders and notes home. I know it's easier said than done, but when you set that healthy boundary and you're intentional about that, your quality of life will improve exponentially, okay? And make sure you stay hydrated at work. Stay hydrated. Have your water readily available to you at all times. Stand up, stretch, and walk around if you're stuck at your desk as much as possible. Count your steps, set a goal, make a game out of it. Get your coworkers to participate. How would you rate your physical wellness? What areas are you strongest in? Is it personal or professional? Let's rate your physical wellness. Scale of 1 to 10. 1 being physical. What? I don't move. I am stationary. And 5 being, I can run a marathon right now around you, Yushima. Okay? Where are you? Where do you fall? And how can you improve that by 1 point? How can you improve your physical wellness in your professional life and in your personal life by 1 point? And then how can you improve it by 2 points? So if you're a 3, how can we make that a 5? If you're a 1, what can you do to make it a 2 or a 3? Take some time to write that down. Emotional wellness. Let's see. Emotional wellness is an awareness, understanding, and acceptance of your emotions and the ability to deal with challenges and change. Remaining in the present moment is also vital to your emotional health. The ability to hold on to positive emotions and appreciate the good times longer. So this doesn't say that you will not experience sadness, grief, pain, sometimes boredom, right? It's being able to self-regulate and not stay in those spaces for prolonged periods, right? That's what emotional wellness is. That's the goal. Right. Professional emotional wellness. It's identifying, processing, and managing feelings of projection, transference, countertransference, biases, and triggers. Earlier, we talked about most of these terms, right? It's being able to tap in and being self aware that you may have some of these issues, and then being able to make adjustments accordingly. Being confident in who you are as a professional, managing emotions in the workplace by discussing feelings with someone that you trust, right? Identifying stressful situations, difficult clients, and or coworkers, and developing a plan to manage these issues with your supervisor. How do you rate your emotional wellness? Are you stronger in your personal or your professional life? Scale of 1 to 5, where do you fall in emotional wellness? And how can you bring it up by 1 point? Take some time to think about that. If you're at a 1, how can you make that a 2 or 3? What is it that you need? Who can help you with that? And when will you implement these changes? When will you let someone know that you need help? Do you need to go to therapy? Do you need to sleep longer? Do you need to take medication? What is it that you need on a regular basis? And if you don't know, how can you identify it? Don't worry, I have something for you at the end of this training that will help you identify some ways to find emotional wellness. Occupational wellness. Occupational wellness is the ability to achieve a balance between work and leisure in a way that promotes health, a sense of personal satisfaction, and for most people, it's financially rewarding. Okay. Let's talk about the professional goals for occupational wellness. Okay. It's working within one scope and expertise, staying in your lane, right? That's what we call that. Being open and honest with yourself and acknowledging signs that may be time to change and or adjust one's occupation. It's never too late to advocate for yourself. So if you're in a position where you're just unhappy and you're not unable to be productive, you're not serving your clients and your community in the way that you perceived that you wanted to, have that conversation with your supervisor. It may be time for a change, either occupationally or just within your job description. Okay. Identifying your wants and needs while at work to ensure that you have the tools that you need to prevent burnout and compassion fatigue. Hopefully, you'll have an opportunity to take that assessment to see where you land. If you are good at your job, remember why you started when you feel like giving up. Sometimes just regrouping, keeping your eyes on what matters most will help you get through the day. Setting healthy boundaries. Being great at your job can make you the target to become the catch all for everyone else. Learn how to say no without feeling guilty. If you were that one in college who used to do the whole group presentation by yourself and just give people their handouts, you may be the catch all at your job. Learn how to put yourself first, okay? And say no or ask for help. How would you rate your occupational wellness? Are you stronger professionally? Are you stronger personally? Rate it from 1 to 5. How can you improve it? What changes can you make to improve your occupational well-being by 1 point? What can you do to raise it by 2 points, personally and professionally? And when will you implement these changes? On a date. If you have to have a meeting with somebody, do that. Intellectual wellness. Keep that noggin fresh, right? Intellectual wellness means striving toward good mental health, continued intellectual growth, and creativity in life. This can include continued learning, practicing, problem solving, improving verbal skills, keeping abreast of social and political issues, and reading books, magazines, and newspapers. Now, it doesn't say scrolling. I don't see where it says. It does not say doing that, right? However, we can learn some things on a TikTok or two. However, our brains actually grow and we develop more neurotransmitters, more synapses when we read pages on a book, okay? Intellectual wellness goals. Let's pay attention to the professional wellness. Engaging one's minds in creative and stimulating activities. Playing games like Sudoku, board games, right? It can be fun. Using resources to expand knowledge and improve skills. Adapting to changes, new information, and different perceptions and approaches, right? Not being argumentative when someone has a different point of view from you. That's a sign of professional intellectual wellness. Attending trainings like this and seeking as much knowledge as you can as it interests you. How would you rate your intellectual wellness? Would you like to develop your mind more? Is there an activity that you would like to participate in more that would help with your intellectual wellness? Let's rate it. Scale of 1 to 5. Where do you fall? And what changes can you make to improve your intellectual wellness? By 1 point. How can we get that 3 to a 4? That 4 to a 5? Or that 1 to a 2? Okay? And how can you raise it by 2 points? When will you implement these changes? I want a date. I want a date. Okay? Environmental wellness. Your environmental wellness is defined by the livability of your surroundings. To improve your environmental wellness, you can learn about and protect yourself against hazards in your surroundings and work to make your world a cleaner and safer place. Okay? Let's get into it. Environmental wellness goals on the professional side include organizing your workspace at home and or on location. It will help you to focus on your work and become more organized in other areas. Have you ever had a messy workspace and then you clean it up and just feel 10 times better? It works. Eat lunch away from your desk. Now, I know most of us don't, but I'm going to tell you, it does wonders to walk away from your desk and actually enjoy your meal. Even if you have to sit in your car or if you just sit outside, if you don't feel like talking to anyone, just going to a space where you can just relax, relate, and release and enjoy your snack or your meal on your lunch break, okay? Making your workspace feel good to you, hanging pictures of animals or your favorite things, adding plants or whatever it is that you enjoy around you. Surround yourself with happiness. My workspace, I have snow globes, you guys. You can't really see it. There it is, snow globes. I have plants. I have books. I have all the things that makes me feel productive and makes me feel comfortable in my home workspace, okay? And I do the same thing in my office, but I just keep it professional, okay? How would you rate your environmental wellness? Is your space tidy? Do you feel comfortable? Would you feel comfortable with someone coming into your workspace right now? Would your coworkers be able to find files and things that they need if you were out for 2 months? Would they be able to keep things going the same way that you do? How would you rate your environmental wellness in your professional life? And how would you rate it in your personal life? And what can you do to add or remove from your space to make it better? How can you raise it 2 points? What can you add or remove from your workspace or your personal space to make it better? Do you need a plant? Do you need a snow globe? A lamp? Maybe you need some lights, right? In one of my offices, I don't have a window, right? And I am a ray of sunshine. So I need my vitamin D. So I have lights in my office. My headlight is pretty bright, or I just keep my door open and I get up and I make sure I get some fresh air every now and again. Okay. When will you implement your changes in your environmental space? What are you going to do and when are you going to do it? Okay. Those are key factors in making change. Financial wellness. Financial wellness is critical to your overall health, and financial literacy is the key. Financial health is defined as the dynamic relationship of one's financial and economic resources as they are applied to or impact the state of physical, mental, and social well-being. Let's get into it. Financial wellness goals for your professional wellness states if you believe you desire a raise, have that conversation with your supervisor. Advocate for yourself without malice or threats and without ultimatums. Now, here's the key factor. Make a decision about whether or not you can afford to work in your profession. Is the reward worth the effort? If the answer is yes, remember why you started and enjoy the perks of your job. I think one thing that really helps with the financial wellness goals is to identify what success looks like for you financially. What is it that you would like to be able to do financially? How would you like to feel? What type of freedoms would you like to possess, right? And when you're able to identify those things, you may be able to supplement your income so that you can do what you love to do. But if you're in a position where you can't make ends meet and you need to have that conversation with your supervisor, time to have that conversation with your supervisor. How would you rate your financial wellness? Scale of 1 to 5. Where do you fall? How can you get that 2 to a 3, that 3 to a 4, that 4 to a 5? What can you do to enhance your financial wellness? Changes can you make to improve by 1 point? And what can you do to raise it by 2 points, personally and professionally? Would you like to learn about investing in stocks? Would you like to do pick up a second job doing something that you enjoy doing? What is it that you would like to do? Or what can you do? And when can you implement these changes? Last but not least, existential or spiritual wellness. Sensing that life is meaningful and has a purpose by means of the ethics, values, and morals that guide and give meaning to life. Intellectual wellness, engaging in creative and mentally stimulating activities that expand knowledge and skills, allowing for sharing with others. Existential or spiritual wellness goals, let's focus on the professional. Respecting your clients and coworkers' rights to believe what they believe without trying to convince them to believe what you believe can relieve the stress of trying to change someone's mind. So allowing people to believe what they want to believe. That summarizes that, right? Finding ways to motivate your clients by utilizing their belief. Whatever their belief is, ask them about it and then utilize that to motivate them and keep them grounded and even to remind them, hey, does your religion approve of ABCD, right? What can you do? What does your religion say about this and that without being condescending, but being supportive, okay? And just remaining ethical, right? How would you rate your spiritual wellness in your personal and professional life on a scale of 1 to 5? Where do you fall? Changes can you make to improve your spiritual well-being by 1 point? And what can you do to raise it by 2 points professionally and personally? And when will you implement these changes? All right, let's discuss healthy boundaries in the workplace. Healthy boundaries in the workplace Social wellness, declining to go out when you have to work early in the morning and removing yourself from gossip at work. Physical wellness, a boundary for that. And I want you to think of other boundaries, you guys. If we were in person, we would go through these and I would discuss different things that we can implement in all of these 8 dimensions of wellness. Okay. But for the sake of time, we're going to go through these, but think of some on your own and write them in your workbook. Physical wellness, walking, drinking, exercising, and requiring that people respect your personal space. Emotional wellness, just being conscious about how you feel, what you watch, and how things affect you. Refrain from conversations that trigger you, okay? Occupational wellness, recognizing your worth and choosing a career that you're passionate about and working during your assigned work hours. Intellectual or creative wellness, learning a new language, reading books that interest you, learning something new, and doing what makes you happy, even if you have to do it alone. That's the key, right? You may not be able to find someone right away that engages in the same thing that you're interested in. You have to be secure enough to do it alone. Financial wellness, living within your budget, living within your means, budgeting and asking for a raise and or promotion, if possible. Environmental wellness includes organizing your space, keeping your living space and workspace clutter free. Existential or spiritual wellness, respecting your beliefs and others' beliefs, and living within your own purpose, working within ethical guidelines. All right, here's the fun part. The last few minutes, we will be looking at a bucket list. Now, my bucket list is different than most bucket lists. Why? Because it's accountability on here. And it's things on this bucket list, you guys, that's actually doable. This is the part that will help you to identify activities to help you discover your passion and purpose. If you're unsure about what you can do to help improve your mental health, to help improve your emotional well-being, guess what? I have something for you today. What's a bucket list? A number of experiences or achievements that a person hopes to have or accomplish during their lifetime. A bucket list is something everyone should have. This is a series of tasks that you would like to complete before you kick the bucket. These ideas are not meant to be morbid. Instead, it's a collection of inspirational goals that you'd like to accomplish in your life. A good bucket list is balanced, okay? Let's build your bucket list. And again, if you do this in your digital workbook, you're actually able to click on these and participate that way. So horseback riding, traveling abroad, looking up a childhood friend, conquering a lifelong fear, a cooking class, bungee jumping, hot air balloon ride, meeting your favorite celebrity, joining or creating a friendship group, going to therapy regularly, exercise classes, writing a transactional letter, going skiing, cleaning up your credit, investing in stocks, skating, swimming lessons, a boat tour, redecorating a room in your home, joining a local sports team, run a marathon, ride a mechanical bull. That would be, I want to do that, okay? Creating a self-care calendar and completing one task every day, or in a mason job. Joining a support group, hiring a cleaning service to clean your home, writing a list of deal breakers for your relationships, vision boards, publishing a book, visit hidden pyramids in the United States, going to a Broadway show, attending a local play in your city, going to a pottery class, a sip and paint class. Buy something that you've always wanted as a child that you never received. For me, it was a tutu. It was snow globes, all the things that make me happy, right? Taking a mental health day, getting 8 hours of sleep for 30 days. Oh, starting a blog, going to a movie alone, auditioning for a part in a movie, uh, diving at the Great Barrier Reef, visiting the Grand Canyon, a self-care vision board, start a self-development journal, list all of your accomplishments in it, take a 6-month sabbatical to travel, stay in a monastery, identify imposter syndrome and address it in therapy, Take a 30-day vacation. Begin interpersonal healing. It's a great book called Picking Up the Pieces to 100 Broken Promises. Check it out. Learn a new language and visit the country. Start a new business. Go on a game show or talk show. Drastically improve something about yourself. Join a group of your choosing that meets regularly. They have groups on Meetup and Facebook. Leave work on time. A gratitude journal. Take a solo vacation. Enjoy a staycation. Have a photo shoot. Get a mani-pedi facial. Get a massage. Stay at a beach resort for a weekend. Complete a program to detox from an addiction. Take a class that interests you. Go to brunch with friends and dress up. Get a makeover. All right. Now it's time to plan that bucket list. Something that you've always wanted to try. From this list or from a list that you have of your own. Now, what's something that you wanted to do with someone from your bucket list? And then write something that you would like to do alone. List the top 3 things that you want to do within the next 5 years, you guys. Not something that you would do right now, but something that you can plan for to do within the next 5 years. Top 3 things that you can do within the next 12 months. And what's one thing that you commit to do within the next 30 days? What's one thing from your bucket list that you can do within the next 30 days? The last few times I did this workshop, I had some great ideas. Somebody said they were going to start a garden. Somebody started taking karate class, water aerobics, going walking with their children every day. There are very doable things that you can do that you can start within the next 30 days. Write it down. So let's review. So far, you've identified the challenges of working with at-risk individuals. You've identified your own vulnerabilities. You've learned how to thrive within the 8 dimensions of wellness and developed a plan of action for each dimension in your personal and professional life. You're almost there. The next step is to complete something on your bucket list. Send me an email with an update at hello@chatterboxtherapist.com. I would love to hear from you. That's it, you guys. With 2 minutes to spare, thank you so much. Our journey has come to an end for today, but it's only just begun. You have some of the tools that you need to begin your own self-care journey. If you would like to continue in your healing, contact us virtually today. And also remember to check out the Launch Program, where we serve youth ages 16 to 24, and we help them to navigate the barriers that's hindered them from completing their educational goals in high school, you guys. I'm sure you heard from Tara Lynn, and I'm sure she did a great job. Again, thank you for listening. I look forward to meeting you all soon. Be happy, healthy, and whole. Until next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.